Welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show on Indian television where you, the MSME, get center stage. This is ET Now's special daily initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center on every industry and area that matters to you. Tonight, we're talking about the travel space, what you, the MSME entrepreneur in the travel industry, should know about trends, the upcoming festive season, as well as the year end. And to discuss that, we have three experts tonight, two joining us from Delhi. First up, Mayank Khanduja, Principal Safe Partners from Gurgaon, Sankalp Agarwal, co-founder of Travel Triangle, also from Gurgaon, and right here in our Mumbai studios, we have Arun Gupta, CEO of Gumo.com. Mayank, Sankalp, Varun, thank you all very much for being with us here tonight to talk about what's really going on when we're talking about the travel tourism industry, as well as how companies like yours and how investment is really looking in this industry. We always ask the entrepreneurs who come on our show to talk a little bit about what it is they do, to talk a little bit about the companies. Let me start with you, Varun.
Thanks. So I run a company called Gumo.com, as you know. It's an omni-channel travel tech platform that was established in 2015 with the first initially acquisition of a company called Orbit. And we launched our online travel platform in March of 2017 this year. The main goal of the company really is to enable Indians to travel more. And to see more of the world, and that's really what we're trying to do.
So you're saying omni-channel. I'll come back to that to understand better how that works. But Sankalp, let me come to you and ask you to talk about Travel Triangle.
Thanks, Sunanda. So Travel Triangle, I run traveltriangle.com. It's a holiday marketplace where we enable people to buy cheaper and much more personalized holidays. The way we do it is we connect them with the multiple travel agents who are the best suited to do this job. So these are the chosen travel agents who handcraft the holidays very nicely for you. So for example, if you choose Sri Lanka, you want to go to Sri Lanka, we'll connect you with the guys who are in Sri Lanka. These are the guys who can give you the best cost for the inventory, and these are the guys who can make the tours like Ramayana tours in a much better way than anyone else can make it. So all in all, it ends up to be very cheaper and very good holiday for the travelers, much more personalized to their needs.
Sure. Mayank, let me bring you in at this point, and reports suggest that you typically look at about 8 to 10 investments during any financial year. How is this space looking like to you? Talk about what kind of, maybe segments, what kind of trends, etc. looking exciting for you as someone who invests in businesses.
So Sunanda, this year, like every other year, is very exciting for us. More so specifically on the travel tech space. We are as excited as ever investing in the space. Even though there are large funded players, some of them even public out there, but I feel there's a lot of untapped opportunity. So there's a total spend of about $50 billion on travel in India, right? About $30 billion of that is on the consumer side, and about $20 billion is on the business side, corporate traveler side. So on the consumer side, I think there are still some untouched spaces left to be explored. For example, very excited about marketplaces that are for activities and experiences. I feel that's an untouched space. There are platforms that allow you to book air tickets, train tickets, even holidays. But what if I just want to experience some local activities within a city? There is no one large platform still in India. We feel that's a big opportunity, and maybe a large business can be built out of there.
Fair enough. Mayank, you were talking about, experiences, for example, and experiences being packaged and being offered as an entire package to consumers, as to someone who's interested in booking. For MSMEs, if they are looking at some of these areas, what sort of advice would you have for them? Are you seeing enough of that kind of innovation happening? If not, what do you think is going to help that disruption?
See, fundamentally, when I talk about travel and things like experiences, these are products that first need to excite the consumer. right? When I go to an online platform and I look at a holiday description or I look at an experience description, I need to get excited. I need to get motivated to discover more, go deeper, and then hopefully make a booking. So I think my advice to any startup would be, given that travel is a very experiential space, build your product such that user gets almost a feel of what they're going to experience on the ground over there. So use technology to that end, bring all the high quality photographs, all the high quality reviews, content around any sort of product that you're selling, bring it online, get the user to feel it, and then hopefully you will be able to convert the user and make them a customer of yours.
Okay, so speaking of innovation that we are seeing in the travel industry, let me come to you, Varun. You were talking about omni-channel. Explain to our viewers how that works. Is that something that a lot of people are innovating on now? And then how did you decide that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think our insight into omni-channel really came from one very simple view of the problem, which was everywhere that we went and spoke to people and people in the industry, there was a view that this is my customer versus your customer. A customer is an online customer or an offline customer, or they buy in a certain way. And when we started talking to people, what we realized was that a customer is a customer. They want to buy or interact on platforms based on their requirements. So you as a customer could be looking at a Delhi-Mumbai-Delhi ticket, and that's a fairly simple transaction with relative price parity, and you would probably buy it in a certain format. If you were going with your family, an extended family for a holiday, and there was, say, 12 of you, how you would buy that holiday or package would be in a very different format. And if you're a corporate traveler, you would probably buy that in a very different format. Now that's just on flights, right? Now there are various other products which have nuances where you buy the products in different formats from various people. So our view was that any travel platform, especially in a world where information is becoming more and more transparent, what you need is the ability to talk to a customer through the channel they prefer, rather than forcing them to talk to the channel that you want them to talk to you through. And that was basically the insight.
All right, let's talk about some news points. And the biggest news that is affecting all industries, of course, is GST and Sankalp. Let me come to you. Any sort of impact that you've seen? It is still early days. There are a lot of changes still being factored in. But talk to us about GST.
So GST, I think, is a very good initiative by Indian government. I personally think that for India to become great, its economy has to grow very, very fast. And for those big initiatives have to be taken. And GST is one of those macro initiatives that enables doing that. Once we do that, it sends signals not just in India, across the India, that India is emerging and it is ready to change. It is ready to take all of those bets to become a more better economy. So that's first thing. Now, in case of travel, GST is like a great normalization factor for us, which creates a level playing field for all the players. For us as a travel triangle, what we are doing is that we are very, very supportive of how GST has to be launched. So we have in our offices GST training sessions for like hundreds of travel agents in Delhi who come out and join our sessions, where we enable them, teach them about how GST rules have been, because there's a lot of work which has to be done. From a macro perspective, we see that GST is something which will increase the number of travelers. Why is that? Because people travel when they have disposable income, which is directly linked to their per capita income. When we talk about per capita income, it is directly proportional to how the country's economy scales up, right? So if GST enables to scale the country's economy, naturally there will be much higher disposable income with the people, which enables us to have a higher growth rate than what it is today. So today India outbound travel grows at a 12% year-over-year growth rate, which is amazing growth rate, which will take number of travelers from 18 million to nearly 30 million. And from a GST perspective, that's really great.
Okay, but what about prices? While it is good news that you are expecting there to be no fall in footfalls or no downward take in footfalls, what about prices? Is that likely to get affected?
Yeah, prices go up and down, let us say plus minus 5%, but that's what the inflation is. So you can at max think of that the prices have gone to the next year prices, but that's fine. That's for the whole of the country. We might see a small glitch in next 6 months, but that's a small glitch if you consider the macroeconomic factors. So the idea is that Indians should have better disposable income over the year. So that's what is solved here.
Okay, fair enough. Let's take a very quick break. On that note, on the other side though, I want to continue talking about regulation, and I want to talk about technology, how technology is disrupting this industry and how our MSME viewers should be using technology much more. Just stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here tonight on the Leaders of Tomorrow. We're talking about regulation and framework for the travel industry. And just before we took the break, we were talking about GST. Let me come to you, Varun, and I want to talk about demonetization. I know demonetization had a bit of an impact. Did it have any impact on you?
Briefly, but it was much lower than expected, and people actually moved to transacting in electronic cash very quickly. We didn't see a massive impact from our perspective.
Okay, so Mayank, then the broader question to you would be a combination of GST, demonetization, and talk about whether you're happy with the kind of regulation that this industry is seeing. If not, what more would you like to see? I know the government has been going all out pretty much in every budget to say tourism is going to be a big focus area for them. Are you happy with what we're seeing on the ground? If not, is there something more you want to see?
Sure. I think the initiatives, I agree with Sankalp. For example, GST is a great initiative that will help the economy as such grow. All these initiatives are great. I think before getting into what other regulations could be done, I think the implementation of the current ones need to be streamlined. For example, there are a lot of things in the GST details that need to be explained to the partners. These partners are MSMEs. They may not have access to the best CAs, company secretaries to help them decipher what does the GST regulation mean for them. There are some things that are still left unsaid. For example, in hotel rooms, what is GST applied on, whether it is on the published price or on the offered price or on the price that the customer actually is paying. Now, these are things that are still not clear in the GST regulations. So I would say the first and foremost step is to take one regulation, nail out all the details, communicate it to all the stakeholders in as clear manner as possible. I think startups like Travel Triangle, Tribo, Gumo, all of these guys are doing a great service by helping their business partners understand GST a lot better. But maybe more direction from the government side could also be extremely helpful. So that I would say is one, take the current regulations and explain and implement them in the most streamlined manner. Second, I think just on the more broader point around pushing tourism higher, I would say that in parallel, there's a lot of conversation going around India seeing growth, but the job growth is not that great. I feel that tourism is a big sector that can push up this job growth, especially in the regions that can attract a lot of tourists, but currently are poor.
Okay, fair enough. Sankalp, I want to talk about technology. And it's a given that technology is changing every industry. It is changing this industry as well. Both you as well as Varun, of course, have based your business models on the use of technology. But my question to you is, for the MSME who is using portals like yours, are they technologically savvy? Are they able to understand the changes in technology? How important is mobile, for instance, perhaps going to become going forward? Are you integrating that? How should MSMEs integrate mobile?
So first is that, as you have rightly said, mobile, search and social has been becoming very, very powerful medium. So today travelers will search on Google and then they will post their photographs on Facebook, and in between there lies a very open-ended, unorganized way of planning up a holiday. Travel Triangle is actually trying to solve that. So once a person lands from Google to a Travel Triangle holiday, he can plan a really good holiday with the help of these MSMEs or travel agents, we say in our case. And then all of this business flows to travel agent. So while Indian travelers are growing at a 12% year-over-year growth rate, all of this growth directly comes to the travel agent itself. So they have a very good way to get this business in. So we are constantly innovating in them. So for example, I take case of AI. For example, in this scenario, the AI enables voice transcription. So we will in future, next 2 years, will give all our travel agents a good recommendation of what they have talked to their customers, and how they can improve it basis our own recommendation engine built on the top of AI. And AR/VR technologies enable them to see the destination before going there. So Travel Triangle brings that easier for the travel agents to use and consume.
Okay, fair enough. I want to pose that same question to you, Varun. What, and just tweak it a little bit, what profile of tier 2 and tier 3 customers are coming to you? And how do you reach out more effectively? Do you have to have tools and solutions which are specific to the customers who are coming from these areas?
We don't look at a customer as a tier 2 or a tier 3 customer. I think every customer has to be looked at a customer who's got a certain amount of requirements and who's trying to do something. And I think the secret for any business is ultimately trying to be able to solve for that problem. I think put in the MSME context and the technology context, I think the way at least I look at the problem is twofold. One is there's a reality of disintermediation that technology brings. Now, what do I mean by disintermediation? It means historically there was a need for me to have an intermediary who would distribute my product or service to customers who I could not reach directly, or the cost of reaching them was very high. What technology is doing in many areas is disintermediating that problem, where the cost of reaching the customer becomes actually viable, right? And that's disrupted a lot of traditional distribution models, especially in businesses where the service was electronically sold, as in travel. What has not changed, however, is, or what has changed in some respects, is the complexity of travel products during that period has increased in certain areas. And there are certain areas where the customer actually wants advice. So from our perspective, what we see is, as a customer becomes more used to travel, they become more mature in the cycle and usually become more wealthier. Their ability to make their travel choices on their own increases. When they're not as savvy, they want advice. And essentially what you need to do is you need to build solutions which enable them to access that advice or a DIY platform as they wish.
Sankalp, let me come to you.
MSME should first is differentiate their products directly, and they should keep on specializing more and more. For example, in case of US, there is a wide market which is served by the travel agents yet, but they have specialized to much complex destinations, much more profitability, and they're able to add the product stack on the normal generic product stack which is given by a big horizontal player. So that's first for the MSMEs. For companies like Travel Triangle, I think holiday space is very different from what the way ticketing platforms have been doing it up. Our approach has been in the belief that the people will need hand-holding in making their holidays, and as more and more new travelers will come in, it will be the best place to get the best hand-holding and connecting with the last mile expert, right? So that's what we are doing, that's what we are specializing in, and the product stack is completely different. A guy takes like 8 days to book a holiday compared to a 1 or 2 click booking on a flight or a hotel thing. So it's a very different product, very differentiated way of executing it, and yet delivering very cheaper prices and very good holidays at the end of the day. And we have like 95% positive reviews and rating, which talks about how much customers love us. So that's how we are doing it up, and we keep on focusing and building up more technology. We want to be the business of tomorrow, not business of today. And technology is a way in which you build it up, you keep on building it, and you become a very differentiated business from what they are. So we will be very differentiated from the ticketing businesses as such.
All right, I'm going to let you have the last word, Varun. The festive season, of course, is something that everyone looks forward to, especially consumer and customer facing businesses. Your advice on how inventory should be managed for a small business. And we were talking about GST, you said, prices are looking rationalized, prices haven't really sort of gone up. Is that a trend that we can expect for the festive season?
I think there'll be two pushes on the festive season. I think one is because of taxes getting rationalized and better credit flowing through and better offset capability, companies have the ability to give better pricing and more competitive pricing to customers. I think the second part of the challenge in India especially is that's directly aiding the demand, which is actually creating the demand for travel, and hence putting pressure on fairly limited capacity still. If you look at our airports, they're busy. If you look at the number of planes we have in the air, especially on trunk routes, they're very busy. If you look at the number of hotels we have in the organized sector, that's still limited. If you look at the number of visas we're able to get as a country because of the processing capability currently, that's still limited. So I think that's still going to continue to drive inflation in peak periods, including the festive season. So I think I just hope that this year there'll be some better pricing and some better deals. But I think for the foreseeable future, we're going to see these spikes, and they're largely supply-led because the demand's going to continue to grow at this rate, in my opinion, for the next 10 years.
Cautious optimism, as they say.
Yes.
All right, Varun, Mayank, Sankalp, thank you all very much for being with us here tonight to talk about technology, to talk about regulation, to talk about the framework for the travel space here in India. If you are an MSME and you have any feedback for us or you have any questions, do remember you can always write in at leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com. On social media, tweet at me personally at Sunanda_J or LOT_ET now. Our Facebook page is Leaders of Tomorrow on ET now. If you have any questions, you can leave it for us there or call us on that number you see on your screen. We love hearing from you. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.